more people from the FIRS, DS Professional Services, KPMG Advisory Services, Josh Michaels, SIAO Partners, FSC Professional Services, the Podium Professional Services, and a lot more other people. The list is endless. The reason why I've read out this is for you to know how intense and how committed we are to making your business grow. And what we've done is to bring together professional services, agencies that interact with you on a daily basis. And I have just two slides to show on that. If What to Media, can you put on that first slide that shows the life cycle of a human being? Okay, so basically, from basic biology, we've learned that this is, the life cycle of a human being. Now, but the one I want you to see is the life cycle of a business, which is the next slide. So when you think of yourself as a human being, and now setting up a business, you also need to think of your business, as a legal entity of its own. So it's a business, it's separate from yourself. So if it's separate from yourself, that means it can also grow the same way a human being grows. So to start a business, you need to start a business. And this is, that life cycle there is basically something from the World Bank that basically shows how businesses move around, how businesses operate, that you need to start a business. At some point, you will either register property or deal with a construction permit. At some point, you may even have to go to court, to enforce a contract. A gentleman outside there was telling me that his client owes him 1.2 million naira. He told him to pay. The client transferred only 250,000 naira to him. So I don't know, maybe he wants to take him to court or something. But the point is that there are different people that you interact with as you grow and as you operate as a business. And what we've done here is to bring at least 5 of those people to you. We have brought the CAC here to you. We've brought the FIRS, we've brought the LIRS, and we've brought NAFDAC. That's 4 actually. So we've brought 4 agencies here that you should, at least on a very regular basis, interact with as you do your business, whether you're a micro enterprise or a small enterprise or a medium enterprise. And this is what we do at Covenant Capital. Our mandate is basically to empower you to grow wealth, empower you, to make it, to succeed, and of course to eradicate poverty in our nation. Now, Covenant Capital does not only hold tax seminars or like this. We also have SME fairs. Many of you have the newsletters with you now. We hold SME fairs. We hold career fairs. So we are interested in making sure that every single citizen of this country actually does better and grows and makes wealth. We all know for a fact that the MSME sector, accounts for about 50% of GDP. You are the employers of labor. You employ about 80% of the labor force. So if you didn't think of yourself as important, we know the data shows that you are important, and that is why we're interested in your success. Now, I've said that is why we are interested in your success. The reason why I'm using we is because it's important that we also think of these agencies, who we popularly call regulators. It's important to think of them as contributors, as partners in business in Nigeria, and not just as, a stumbling block or a hindrance to business. And that's why we've brought them here, to be able to iron out issues, to tell you the things that they've done to make business easier for you. Because there are so many things that have been done that you do not know about. About 4 or 5 years ago, I had the opportunity of setting up a business from the scratch, and I posted this on Facebook at some point. And I was saying that I know how long it took me to get, using a lawyer and all of that, to get my incorporation certificate. And then after that, I packed all my documents again, looking for tax identification number, TIN number. But today, those 2 things can be done very easily, very seamlessly. And the CAC and the FIRS are here to discuss some of those things. I know how many of you, have had issues with NAFDAC registration and things like that. But the truth of the matter is that there's so much that has been done to make it simpler. One of the things, and I said one of the things that causes the hindrance is that many of us don't even know those procedures. There may be other things, but one of the things is that many of us do not even know those procedures. If I ask now how many of us know the NAFDAC website, put up your hands. If you've ever been on the NAFDAC website before. Have you ever been on the CAC website before? Have you ever used a lawyer to get your business registration before? Okay, so more people have used lawyers, but have you even interacted with the process yourself to know it? That's why we are bringing these people here. So it's a tax and business compliance seminar because we want you to grow your business. We want you to be on the right side of the law. It is to your own benefit to be on the right side of the law. Because no matter what you say about Nigeria, when we get to where we are going, it is the people that are on the right side of the law that are doing the proper business that will be ready for the opportunities that are there. So no matter what you say about Nigeria, and you know what I'm talking about, the point is that it's going to get better, and at the point where it gets better, if you haven't, availed yourself of these opportunities, if you have not set up in the right way, then you will have lost. It wasn't when the flood came that Noah started building the ark. He built the ark before the flood came. So it's important to build your ark and get ready because, the economy is moving on. So without further ado, I'll just make a few announcements and I'll hand you over to our anchor for the day. The announcements, basically, we have about 4 sessions today to handle. The first 4 sessions, or rather the first part of this, will be the presentations by the agency. So the CAC is going to make a presentation here about online business registration and types of business registrations for MSMEs. FIRS is going to talk about the tax benefits and incentives for being a compliant SME. NAFDAC is going to talk about product registration made easy. And then after those 3 presentations, we're going to have 4 agencies up here to take general questions. So we'll have NAFDAC, CAC, FIRS, and LIRS all on stage here to take general questions. Now, I've emphasized the word general questions because you will have the opportunity for 2 hours to engage on one-on-one sessions with those agencies. So if you look to your left, which is my right, you'll see that all the agencies are set up there waiting for you with promotional materials. The CAC is there with internet and power to even help you do your business name searches and online registrations for those of you that don't believe. Some of you, seeing is believing. So please go and see so that you can believe that it actually works. So the CAC is there, NAFDAC is there, FIRS is there, LIRS is there. But also, Covenant Capital is there. Covenant Capital also offers free business advisory services. We are basically a department within Covenant Christian Center, but it's a department of professionals, experts in different fields. We have people, from KPMG, people in government, people in taxes, people in HR, in oil and gas. So you can avail yourself, the business advisory services for free there with Covenant Capital also. Okay, I think we are set to start. I'll now invite Bode Abifari, who will be our anchor for the day, to introduce our first speaker.
All right, good morning, everyone. So we'll just kick off this very packed, exciting morning. And we'll start with the first presentation from the Corporate Affairs Commission. So please let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Tolulope Shonaike, an Assistant Director from the Corporate Affairs Commission, to take the first presentation. And he'll be talking to us about online business registrations for SMEs.
Good morning, everybody. Yeah, my name again is Tolulope Adeola Shonaike, and I'm with the Corporate Affairs Commission. But it's not, okay, sorry. This morning, we're going to share with you the process of registering your business names and your companies online. Forgive my broken voice, but I think you can hear me. So we'll manage this. Okay. Now with me, my colleague, she's the head of our ICT. She'll be taking us through that practical process. But before that, let me quickly share a few things with you. Basically, you have 2 forms of businesses, 2 forms in Nigeria. You have the business names. You also have the companies. Our culture is being to describe both of them as companies, but strictly a business name is not a company because it's not a corporate personality. Now, the company is what you call limited. Now, that is a corporate entity. How do you decide which one to adopt for your business? The first thing I'll tell you is that if your business is the kind that is regulated and with industry-prescribed authorized minimum share capital. I'll explain that. Then you cannot register as a business name. Private security guard services, for instance, they are regulated by the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, and the law prescribes that to do that, you must have 10 million naira share capital. Automatically, you cannot operate that business as a business name. You must register as a company. The same thing with businesses that are regulated by this SEC, Security Exchange Commission. All their services, the kind of services that they regulate, come with prescribed minimum authorized share capital. A stockbroker, for instance, and investment advisor, for instance, you cannot register as a business name. There are quite a lot of others. Now, which ones should you prefer to register as a business name? Let me also state that it doesn't matter which it is. You can choose to register it as a company. But when you are an artisan, a mason, a bricklayer, a fashion designer, a tailor, as we call it, a carpenter, you are advised to start with a business name. And why is that? Because the regime of regulation is more relaxed. The cost of running your business is also it's cheaper. When you register as a company, the regime of regulation is actually broader and more. The disclosures in your annual returns is extensive, more extensive than in a business name. So if you are coming into such businesses, particularly businesses that are personal in nature, you are advised to register as a business name. Then businesses that are professional with strict liabilities, like a law firm, like an accounting firm, auditing firm. Because in law, these people cannot avoid liabilities. You cannot say, no, my business is different from me. They are required to register as business names. Let me quickly also talk about the reforms that we have undertaken in the Corporate Affairs Commission to ease doing business in Nigeria. They are SME friendly. And the first of them is that we have reviewed our service timelines. By that, I mean the first step in registration. The first step is to, after creating your account, to reserve a name, get approval to use the name. My colleague will take you through that process. Now, name reservation. We do it and give you, once you submit, you get your feedback under 6 hours. That is our service timeline now. It's been tested, it's been confirmed at different fora that we've been to talk. Some people say they get it in 2 hours. Some people say they get it in, somebody told me that I got it in 20 minutes. But I won't know, but you will know. So if you don't get it within 6 hours, there are helplines. Before I leave here, I'll also give you the number of the head of Lagos office. I was the head of Lagos office until yesterday. Yes. Lagos Island office, really, just until yesterday. So you see, this assignment had been on my table, on my burner, before yesterday. So it also fell on me to make sure I do this as my last official assignment in Lagos before I go back to the head office. But I'll share my number with you. You can still talk to me. I'll also share the number of my colleague who will be taking over from me. He'll be arriving on Monday. I've not told him, so this is ambushing him. But it's his responsibility, it's the responsibility of everybody in CAC to talk to customers. It doesn't matter your designation or your schedule. For registration of companies or business names, even incorporated trustees, which we won't be talking about today, because that's not a business vehicle, 24 hours. Now, if you don't get it within 24 hours, please call somebody. You see, escalate. Escalate it, talk to somebody. And let me also advise, if you keep talking to the same person and you don't get results, for instance, if you talk to my head of ICT, you talk to her today, tomorrow you don't get, next tomorrow you don't get, and you even visit the office, which is what we try to discourage, you don't get, please go above her. Insist on seeing the head. Something just happened in my office about 2 weeks ago because some of my colleagues did not manage the complaint well. I never knew about it. And it persisted for more than a month. It was never brought to my table. But when the hammer will come falling, I will also be asked. So I want to help you, but please also help me. I'm a public servant. I don't have any other job. So I'm a career public servant. You know, I'm satisfied using teacup, you know, rather than the big bowl to drink my tea. Okay, so if you don't get your name reservation report in 6 hours, escalate, please call. If you don't get your business registered or a feedback, you must get a feedback under 24 hours. Now, part of the things that may not make you get the certificate under 24 hours, she will share with you. If your application has a problem, if there are errors in your application, we'll get back to you and tell you what the errors are, the particulars of the errors. You correct them and push back to us. We understand that because we just opened the portal to everybody, we see people are still battling with understanding the process. We have always dealt with accredited agents, lawyers, accountants who have dealt with us over time. So they understand our requirements. But the ordinary person, like I, will not understand. So we also know that. So we take our time to take people through it until we all come to the full knowledge of the process. The second thing you need to know is that we have extended our working hours. Today, we work from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Mondays through Fridays. Anytime from 8:30, 9 o'clock to 7 p.m., you can actually walk into our office and transact business. So if you get into any, well, not all of our offices, the nodal offices, and I'll mention them, our FCT office in Wuse, Abuja. We have 2 offices here in Lagos. We have one in Alausa. We have one on the island, Lagos Island Catholic Mission Street. That is right opposite City Hall. The one in Alausa is behind Maro Gardens. Both offices open till 7 p.m. The office in Port Harcourt, the office in Enugu, the office in Kano, and the office in Kaduna. All of them open till 7 p.m. So if you walk into any of these offices, you can transact your business up until 7 p.m. We have also removed the requirement for proficiency certificates. Now, what that proficiency certificates are certificates that certify you as a professional in any business or service that requires professionalism. For instance, if you are carrying on a business and offering training to people, ordinarily we want to be satisfied that you are an expert to train others. But we found that insistence on these things sometimes it's ridiculous because let's take the fashion design industry, for instance, tailoring, or a carpenter, or a musician, in fact. We know that most of our musicians learn their trade from churches, church choir. Every musician I call today goes, well, yeah, I started as a choir in the church. I said, the choir will not issue certificate to you. And we know that these people grow to be very, very good in music. They can train people. So rather than emphasize the paper, why don't we just recognize the skill and allow them train others? So that informed the removal of that requirement of proficiency. So today, if you go into any of our offices or you submit your application online, anyway, you can only apply for registration online now. All the manual windows have been closed in all our offices. So if you submit and anybody says, you say you want to train people in tailoring, and somebody says bring proficiency, please complain. We shouldn't be asking that. The fourth thing is that we also have created a public search window. Now, what this window does is to give you access to our database to confirm basic information about companies, whether those companies are registered. If you are online now, if you have internet access, if you go to our website and click on that link, you can decide to search Zenith Bank PLC. It will bring out that name. It will tell you date of registration. It will tell you the registered address. It will tell you the RC number. Now, this basic information, you get them free. They can also help you when you are trying to choose a name to use. You are interested in Zenith Services, and then you check, you see Zenith Services already registered. Don't bother submitting that for approval, because we will not approve it. The fifth thing, now I'm going to talk about companies. You know, reforms that are companies friendly. And SMEs too are sometimes companies, not just business names. Because you grow to a point, even you are not comfortable running your business as a business name. You want to get more formalized. Now, what we have done is to reduce registration fees. For your first million share capital, you pay 10,000 naira. Before now, you pay 10,000 naira even if you are registering 2 billion. For every million, you pay 10,000 naira. But what you have now is the first million, you pay 10,000 naira. Subsequent millions, to the point of 500 million, you only pay 5,000 naira on each of them. Now, if you go beyond 500 million, you are no longer small. I mean, now you are a big guy, you are a big boy. You have arrived. For that, we still will not charge you 10,000 naira. We'll say pay 7,500 naira per million. Now, the sixth thing is that we have consolidated the registration forms. Before now, those of you who registered businesses as companies before, up until about 2 years ago, in fact, last year really, about a year ago, you realize that your lawyer would have told you that you have Form CAC 2, Form CAC 7, Form CAC 3, Form CAC. And if you want CTC certified true copies of each of these forms, before now, you will pay 2,000 naira. So for all those 5 forms that will accompany your memorandum and articles, you will pay 10,000 naira, and then you pay another 3,000 naira for the memorandum and articles. Added to the 10,000 naira in the case of 1 million share capital that you pay as filing fee. Put all of that together, you'll be paying 23,000 to register a 1 million naira share capital. But by consolidating all the forms, you have all these forms as sections in one form. Now, you only pay 2,000 naira for all the forms. Just 2,000 naira. So you add that to the 3,000 naira for the memorandum and articles of association, because this is another document. Then add it to the 10,000 naira, you have 50,000 naira. So what we have done for you is to knock off 8,000 naira, effectively. Now, the other thing we have also done is that for companies, you are required to notarize a section in that form. Now, we want to bring everything, we want you to be able to do everything online. If you still have to go out for direct users and go notarize, that may delay you. So for direct users, my colleague will explain the difference between a direct user and an accredited agent. Now, if you want us as a direct user to notarize for you, just add 500 naira to that 50,000 naira. And we will notarize for you. Our officers will depose to the form that everything you have done is okay. And we have notary publics that we have retained. They will endorse it and we'll move on so that we can meet the service timeline of 24 hours. 2 more things that we have done. I've talked about notarization. Okay, I want to talk about one more thing. For companies, you have to pay stamp duties before you are registered. FIRS is here. And we cannot say you should not pay because that's what sustains their salaries. So it's part of what sustains them. So you have to pay FIRS for every share you create. You call it stamp duties. Now, before now, what you would have had to do is finish with CAC, get the forms, complete them, then go out to FIRS and pay, and then come back to CAC. That will add up time to your application. So what we have done is to integrate the payment platform of the FIRS on our portal, on our website. So from beginning to the end, you don't leave the CAC environment. When you get to the point where you are required to pay your stamp duties, the portal will prompt you if you are ready to pay. You just click. You pay. Every payment is by debit card. So you pay and say FIRS takes its money and electronically your document will be endorsed. Once we see that endorsement, we go ahead and process. These are the few reforms that will be relevant to our gathering here today. I will invite my colleague now, Modupe Ologuntoye, to come up and take you through the process. Please pay attention. We will also identify some of the common errors that we make, which frustrate our applications. You know, things you don't do right, and then we cannot overlook them, we push them back to you, so that you can put these things at the barest minimum. Modupe, please.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to be taking you on the step-by-step processes of company registration on our portal. It's not something difficult. We all know that if you are going to be sending a mail via Yahoo, Gmail, you need to create an account before that can be possible. The same thing applies to Corporate Affairs Commission. Your account makes it easier. It's an environment where you can fulfill all your company registration processes. So I'm going to teach you on how to access the portal. That's the first thing. Then how to create an account on the portal, how to reserve a name, the company registration process, and submitting your electronic documents. And as we go along, I'm going to be pointing out some of the errors that we make in this course. But if there's anyone I don't discuss, maybe during the talk, one-to-one talk, you'll be able to answer all your questions. It's not working. Okay. Those are the things I just mentioned. Accessing CAC Portal Online, creating accounts on CRP, the name registration, name reservation, the company registration, submitting electronic documents, and what have you. So now we are going to start on the account creation. The first page, you need to open, probably if you're using Mozilla Firefox, you're using Google, you need to enter the CAC website, which is services.cac.gov.ng, or newcac.gov.ng. Those you're seeing on the slide, that's the one on this side is the face of the new CAC. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, thank you. Okay, this is creation of accounts. Yes, this is the starting, and this is where some of us, not all of us, some have issues. Like some people, when they are creating an account, they tend to probably think it's like a child's play, forgetting that anything you create on this account is it's the output of anything on this account. It is what continues on your portal. For instance, some people, instead of putting their first name, some people just go ahead and put a nickname, put for the email address, they put their proper email addresses. And every account on this portal is tied to your email address. So once you put a wrong name and you put your correct email address, that is going to tie it together. So even if you are opening another, you want to create now you feel you want to create a correct account, and you put your normal name. If you put your email address, it's going to tell you your email address has already been registered on the portal. So please, when you are creating an account, make sure you put your correct first name, your last name, then your last name is your surname. Please note that, because some people don't really understand that. Your last name is your surname. So you put your name, your date of birth, every other information on this portal. But if you're an accredited user, once you put your email on this account, the email that is already in our database, it locks it in. Do you understand me? It locks it in. So that is it. Okay. So a link will be sent to your email address once that is done, where you can now go. When you get to your normal email address, this is your Yahoo or your Gmail, you click on it, it takes you back to the portal where you can now do the normal logging in. So next. Okay, that's the name reservation. The name reservation, this is services.cac.gov.ng. So for you to start, you log in. Like what I said, you log in, your username and your password. Once you log in, your username and your password, okay, this is your username and your password. You put it in, you log in. Okay, so for you to reserve a name, be it a business name, a limited, this is where it takes you to for your name reservation. Okay, so the first thing you do here is you put in the company type, be it a business name or a limited or an incorporated trustee. So once that is done, you put your proposed business names. If you have two options, option 1, option 2 is there, but if it's just one option, then just option. You save and you continue. Save. Okay, so this is the next page where you enter. This page is just for you to enter your details. Yeah. Okay, no, this page now refers you back. Now, if you look at this page, your date of birth is already on this page, which is the presenter's detail. This is the presenter detail. The details I was telling you about. Your date of birth is there. Your address automatically comes on this page. So, okay, now on this page, you might choose to enter your identification and details, maybe your passport, your driver's license, and then you click continue. Next. Okay. Now, this page shows you what you have put in. This is the preview page. So if you are not satisfied with what is on this page, maybe you missed a letter on one of the business names you've entered, that's the only thing you can change on this page. You go back and make the correction, then you click continue until you get here. So the next page is for payments. 500 Naira for name reservation, that's the availability. So you pay 500 Naira, you go to remitter, you click remitter, you choose how you want to pay, Visa card, MasterCard, any card you have. You click on submit. Yeah. Okay, when you've submitted your payments and you go back to your account, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like when you go back. So now on this page now, we have a name. The first one is a name that has been entered but not submitted. Not submitted means it has not been paid for. Maybe the owner of that account is having another thought, probably not going forward with the reservation. Then the denied are those ones that are already existing. Names that are already existing will be denied. That's the one. The doubt reserve one. The reserve is the one that has been approved, that you can actually start your registration process on. Then the pending approval down there, we'll come to that later, but let me just explain that the pending approval is under company registration, which is what you have done. Next page. Which is the one under which you have registered, you entered the data. So this is your reservation to start about starting the process of your data entry. So you come here, you click on, once you've done the availability and it has been approved, you go back and open this availability. You click on, you can see availability code. You click on the availability code, you copy it, and then you take it back to the, okay, continue. Okay, you take that availability code, you slot it in here. Once you put it in there, it brings out the name of that company, and then you can start the registration proper. Okay. Okay, continue. Okay. So now this is the first thing you do. You enter the company details, the date of commencement of the business, maybe the day you are putting in the data, the company name, everything, you put it in there. You click continue, save and continue. Then these are similar details. These are similar details, the address, you save and continue. Okay, so now this is particulars of directors. So if the director is an individual proprietor, you click that add individual proprietor and put it in. If the director is a company, that is where you have add corporate proprietor or a minor. So those are the three headings under that. You click, you fill in the details. Yeah, this is the details where you fill in the details for all the proprietors. If there are 10, you go along, you key it in, you save and you continue. Next. Okay. Okay, now, this King Queen of Africa is the director, right, that is already now on the system. But if you have an issue with this director, maybe the email address is not what it looks like for the other directors. Because note that the first director or the owner of that account, the account details has already been logged in. So there's nothing you can do about that detail. That's why I was telling you to be careful. So the other directors, if there's anything, any mistake on the account, you can go back from here and correct it before you save and continue. Next, please. Okay. So, okay, this is the nature of the business. Be it trading, fishing, aquaculture. This is where you add the nature of business. You add it, but make sure that at least you must add one. You cannot continue without adding. So once you pick that, you go to the category, you pick the category, be it farming, you add the nature of business, you save. Continue. Okay, continue. Okay, all right. So this is the nature of business, is there. Seminar presentation, continue. Okay, so now you come to this page, you click on CAC preferred branch you want to collect it from. If you are in Lagos, but you're staying in Abuja, you know that Abuja, that's where you want to collect it. You pick on Abuja. If it's in Lagos, you do the same. Then additional certified true copies. If you want extra certified true copy, this is where you come to. But if you don't want, please, do not click on any of that because there's an additional fee to that. You click save and continue. Okay, this is the preview of everything that you've done from A to Z. So you can preview, you be sure that what you want is what is there. Then we proceed to payment. The payment, this one does not have certified true copies. This, what's it called? Remitter, you go, sorry, this is, okay, continue, remitter. All right, you fill in your details like the other time, you fill in your details, continue. Okay, this is the document upload. This is where we connect what you've done on the your account to your documents. What you do after you've done that process, if it's for a limited liability company, you know you have to print you do your stamp duty like my boss has earlier said, you do your stamp duty, then you can now print all your documents. But for business name here, what you need to do is just, when you've paid, you go back, you download your documents. When you download your documents, you take it for signing, then passports. Then you need to scan. You scan is the word scan, and make sure you scan in PDF. If you scan in any other format, it will not take it. You scan in PDF, and now we'll scan it to your system and save it somewhere on your system. So this is new cac.gov.ng. You come to document upload. That's the address for the document upload, .cac.gov.ng. You click on that. It takes you to this page. You enter your availability code. That is where your availability code is. Then you choose the office that you want to be picking from. You choose it. Then make sure the reCAPTCHA, make sure you click on it. If you don't do that, you can't go forward. So now, this is the page to upload the document. You choose your file. You come here, where you have choose document type below. When you click on that, you see a list of documents that you need to submit. So that is availability you have for other documents too. So when you click on the availability, you go and choose the file where you have saved it on your computer. So once you choose it and you click enter, it comes to where you have list of attached documents. So you do that for subsequent documents. So once you've done that and you know it's okay, you now go up and click on submit. You click on submit up there. So once you click on submit, if you want to know if your account is open, once you click on submit, it's going to be showing processing. But if it's not showing processing, if it's showing delete, that means it is queried and you need to work on it. But if it's showing processing, it means they are working on it. But if it's showing delete, that means there's an issue. Then if it's showing approve, that means your documents have been approved. Then on your portal, you can see that it's okay. Thank you. When we have the interaction service, we'll be able to do more. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Please, can we give another round of applause to Mr. Tolulope Shonaike and Mrs. Modupe Olaguntoye. So I'm hoping we've gotten quite a number of things from that presentation. For me personally, all things being equal, you can get your a reservation for your business name in 6 hours, so we don't have an excuse anymore. The offices are open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And in filling the forms, I think what we got from that is you have to pay attention to detail because it's what you put in that will come out. Another round of applause for them. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go straight into the second presentation. So the second presentation is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS. And I would like to welcome Mr. Siriasos Ekechi to take the second presentation. And he's going to be talking to us about the benefits and incentives for being a tax-compliant SME. Please, let's clap.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am here to represent Federal Inland Revenue Service at this very occasion to partner with our brothers that are into micro, small, and medium enterprises. Federal Inland Revenue Service, also known as FIRS in short form, is a primary revenue generating agency of the federal government, established by FIRS Establishment Act of 2007. Our mandate is to assess, collect, and account for federal taxes. And when I mean federal taxes, Federal Inland Revenue Service collects taxes for the benefit of all the 3 tiers of government in terms of developmental projects of the 3 tiers of government, the federal, states, and local government in Nigeria. That is to say that we serve limited liability companies and also individuals, as well as enterprises, sole proprietorship, trustees, even non-for-profit organizations. And these taxes are in the form of company income tax, payable by limited liability companies, and payable to Federal Inland Revenue Service. And of course, the companies that are liable to pay companies' income tax are limited liability companies. But for those of us that are into unincorporated businesses, that is business of sole trader or enterprise, your taxes, that is your income tax, is payable to relevant state internal revenue service. State internal revenue service where you reside. But for those of us that are residing in Lagos, we have to pay our personal income tax to Lagos State Internal Revenue Service. Then in FIRS, we also collect personal income tax from members of the armed forces and the police, staff of the external affairs. Before now, we used to collect from the residents of Capital Territory, but because of the need for IGR, National Assembly created a tax agency for Federal Capital Territory, and we have to cede the collection of personal income tax from residents of individual residents in Abuja to the FCT Revenue Authority. Then the aspect of value-added tax. Value-added tax is a consumption tax that is payable by everybody, including all of us here, whether as a limited liability company or as an individual business name or so. Why? Because as long as you consume any item that is vatable, you have indirectly paid value-added tax. So for all of us that are here, whether you are representing a limited liability company, you are representing a partnership, you are representing yourself or your business as an enterprise, you are a vatable person. The year 2017, FIRS collected a little above 4 trillion naira in tax collection. And that was as a result of a lot of initiatives that we introduced and strategies to be able to bring the payment of tax to the doorsteps of the taxpayers. And of that, out of the over 4 trillion naira that we collected in 2017, about 62.25% was attributable to non-oil revenue. That was the highest we have done in recent time. And that is in line with government's desire to shift away from oil revenue to tax revenue. It has not been easy. Even in spite of that, we still need more because government is still borrowing to make up for the shortfall in funding its activities through domestic and international means. Then we also collect capital gains tax. At the point a limited liability company disposes of a chargeable asset, and as a result, it makes a gain from disposal of a chargeable asset, and the rate is at 10% of chargeable gain. But of course, for the micro and small enterprises, and of course, medium companies and individuals, if the company is limited liability company, then you pay your capital gains to Federal Inland Revenue Service. If it's with respect to business name, enterprise, partnership, then you pay to relevant state authority, state tax authority. If you are resident in Lagos, then you pay to Lagos State Internal Revenue Service. Same as stamp duty. Stamp duty is based on ad valorem, like my colleague in CSE mentioned about stamp duty payment, at the point you are incorporating a limited liability company based on your share capital. My colleague, Mr. Adamu Kudu, will be taking you through the processes through the ICT processes for both registration, online registration, e-payment, and all the e-solutions initiatives that we put in place. For you to be a taxpayer, like my colleagues from CSE have said, it's either you would have incorporated as a business name, or you would have registered a limited liability company. Upon registration, automatically you are a taxable person. And at that point of registration, we serve both existing companies in FIRS and also new companies that just registered. The law requires that within 6 months of the existence of the Value Added Tax Act, which came into force in 1993, and 6 months from date of commencement of your business, whichever is lower, you are supposed to register with the relevant tax authority, especially with FIRS, for the purpose of value-added tax. That is to say, those of us that are here that are operating under small, micro enterprise, you have to register as a VATable person. And when you register, from the day you register, you become liable to payment of value-added tax. The value-added tax we ask you to pay. It is not you that is paying it. You are more or less an unpaid agent of Federal Inland Revenue Service for the collection of that VAT. It's a consumption tax. The moment somebody has come to buy, a customer has come to buy your goods or has come to enjoy service that you are rendering, you are supposed to charge and collect VAT from that person. And of course, where you are involved in sale of goods, you buy and sell, or you import and sell. In that case, at the point of import, you would have probably suffered input tax at an applicable rate of 5%. And of course, you as a seller, you are also going to sell to a third party. That you are expected in your VAT returns to set off the input tax you have suffered against the output tax you have charged your customer and remit the difference. It's only the difference because you have not sold at a loss. It's just the difference between the VAT you have charged based on the goods that you have sold and the VAT you have suffered at the point you purchased or imported the goods that you are selling. Then you remit to Federal Inland Revenue Service, and value-added tax is a federally collectible tax. And of course, remit to Federal Inland Revenue Service. The processes of doing that, my colleague will take you through, because all our payments are online. Then there are other taxes. We have a tertiary education trust fund that is payable by only limited liability companies. And upon when you have made profit, it is based on accessible profit. Then in the area of personal income tax, I understand that our colleague from Lagos State is here. Maybe he will be taking us through our obligations as taxpayers under the pay-as-you-earn or direct assessment. For categorization of companies into small, medium, and micro enterprises, we know that the Bureau for Statistics has gone ahead to categorize companies based on their size sector and the number of staff strength they have, and of course, the turnover they are also able to generate. But in FIRS, we don't have any particular categorization of company as to small or medium or micro. But of course, we have gone ahead to set up tax offices across the Federation. In Lagos alone, we have over 30 tax offices. That is a way of encouraging taxpayers to manage cost of compliance. You don't have to travel too far away from your base to comply with tax obligation. And in the course of time, my colleague also will be taking you through the ease of making payments of your taxes to our payment platforms, such that you can pay your taxes, register for taxes online from the comfort of your homes or offices. Then for micro and small tax payers, we have so many offices, and at the same time, we also have help desk in those offices. We are aware that not many of you will be able to probably afford internet services. And where you cannot do that, just walk freely to any of our tax offices. We have dedicated desk and helplines where you can use our facilities free of charge to comply. Then we know that majority of the taxpayers fall within, in terms of number, fall within the small and micro tax payers. We do our best because we know that some of you might not afford the luxury of engaging qualified accountants or the big audit firms. Within our office, free of charge, you can come around for any assistance in any form, but we are not going to do what the accountants, qualified accountants will do, because we don't want to be seen as compromising on our job. But for information, references, inquiries, we'll be able to do that for you free of charge. And we can also educate you on how to go about a lot of things on your own. And where you run into difficulty, then you can go to the consultants of your choice. In everything we do in FIRS, we try to recognize the importance of micro, small, and medium businesses, because we know how important you are in the economy of this country, contributing about 50% to our GDP. And the most developed countries of the world, what they are today, they started as micro, small, and medium enterprises, just like every one of us here. We talk about the Guinness of this world. It's just the name of a person. The Coca-Cola of this world, all of them, they started small just as any of us here that is in business. So in FIRS, we encourage you to support you also to do whatever you can do to grow your business. And there are a lot of incentives. Unfortunately, most of the incentives are provided by the tax law, because you know that those of us that are into tax administration, we only operate the tax laws that are handed down to us by the National Assembly. And of course, the process of making law or amending even the existing law involves each and every one of us here. You can sponsor a private member bill, or there could be an executive bill from FIRS and from any of the executive arms of the government. For a micro and small tax business, a small business, when you start a business initially, we don't expect you to be subjected to minimum tax. It's only when you would have operated, that is if you're a limited liability company, it's only when you would have operated for at least a minimum of 4 calendar years. That is when you'll be subjected to minimum tax. and based on applicable rates. And at that point, that means you did not make profit in that year, or the profit you made that year is less than minimum tax. Then, of course, there is also another category of incentive that is available to, we have a pioneer legislation. That is where you are exempted from paying tax, say, in the first 3 years, and it could be extended to another 2 years, totaling 5 years. But usually, it's in preferred sectors of like solid mineral or even agro-allied sector. Then for limited liability companies, in any year you have made a loss, the loss you have made can be carried forward indefinitely until you are able to absorb it in years that you have made profits. Then you can also enjoy accelerated capital allowance rate of 95% immediately, with a residual of 5%. Those are one of the a few of the numerous incentives that are available to you. And of course, for small companies that have a minimum of 1 million naira turnover, the tax rate is usually 20%. But of course, it must be in certain line of business, in mining, manufacturing, or agriculture. Then certain loans that are granted, interest on loans that are granted to agricultural businesses are also exempted from tax, especially if the moratorium period, grace period, is upward of 18 months. Then at the individual level, you'll be dealing with mainly the State Internal Revenue Service. I don't know whether our colleague in Lagos State is here, although if those of you that have your email addresses, you can also look at my contribution there in my presentation. You have a number of them. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, before my colleague will come and take you through the processes of e-registration, e-payment, ETCC, you must know too that for everything you want to do, for almost all the things you want to do these days, they are tied to you showing evidence of tax payment. And what is the evidence of tax payment in our context? Is the tax clearance certificate. You want to renew your vehicle particulars, you commit a traffic offense, tax clearance will be requested. You want to apply for visa or you want to renew your existing visa, tax clearance certificate will be requested. You want to renew those that have local hunting arms. For arms license renewal, you also have to show your tax clearance certificate. You have to provide it to be able to enjoy a whole number of incentives. That is to tell you how important payment of tax is in this country. We are now moving away from dependent on crude oil to dependence on non-oil revenue sources. So my colleague will also take you through how you can easily, from the comfort of your office, generate your tax clearance certificate to be able to sort out all the transactions that require the use of tax clearance certificate. And you can do that from the comfort of your offices or even from your homes. Then we have been able to deploy a lot of e-solutions to encourage every one of us here to be able to comply with tax obligations. We know that in this part of the world where the availability of internet services sometimes can be expensive and sometimes can also be slow. But in our own little way in FIRS, we can do those free of charge. We provide those facilities for you free of charge. We have a helping desk for that. So I call on every level of government to support in any way the existence of medium and small enterprises, because their survival will go a long way to support the economy and the growth and development of this nation. On that note, Mr. Adamu Kudu, can you come and take us through the ICT-related aspects?
Thank you, sir. You're well done. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My colleague already told you that FIRS is saddled with the responsibility of assessing, collecting, and accounting for taxes collected. In discharging this responsibility, a lot of things are put in place to correct the deficiencies that the manual process have posed into service delivery. One of such things is the vision of the current chairman of Federal Inland Revenue Service, Babatunde Fowler, is that taxpayers should see no need to come to tax office for anything outside three situations. One, if there's no dispute, if there's no reconciliation, if there is no any need for capacity building that the information on our website cannot support you. These are the only situations that can bring you to tax office. Otherwise, everything that are engraved in the compliance process should be done at your comfort zone. And it is on that premise that 6 e-solutions were deployed to FIRS. From beginning of bringing in taxpayer into TaxNet, to telling that taxpayer to file return, to assessing the return, to collect payment from that taxpayer, receiving the payment, and above all, confirming that the taxpayer is free of any indebtedness with issuance of tax clearance certificate. These are the compliance process that we need to look into. If you are connected to network, you log on to www.firs.gov.ng. When you log on there, you get into this page. On this page, you click on e-services. Then under the e-services, you are seeing e-tax payment, e-filing, e-registration, e-TCC, e-receipt, e-stamp duty, frequently asked questions, and then the help desk. I'll take them one by one. First and foremost, the e-tax payment is telling you that we have moved away from just relying on going to bank branch to make payment to sitting on your comfort zone and making your payment. Today on that platform, we're having e-transact, we're having the remitter, we're having the PayDirect, and you know PayDirect is developed by InterSwitch, and in addition to that PayDirect, the Quick Teller has been developed too, to enable you to use your card to make tax payment. Also, we're having the e-tax pay developed by Nigeria Interbank Settlement Scheme. So on that one is deployed so that when you have your assessment in your hand, you can just click on that, and it will lead you to any of these payment platforms, and then you effect your payment. Note that each one of them will demand for your TIN number, then the tax type, then the tax period. Then you select any payment instrument you are using, and immediately you make payment, you receive acknowledgement in your GSM phone, while the receipt is later sent into your mailbox for you to download and print on your own. And today, a maximum of 72 hours, you get that done. All you need to do is you go into any of the e-payment platform and follow their process beginning to the end. Time will not permit for us to go through one. So that is e-payment for you. It gives you the capability to stay anywhere and then make your tax payment without necessarily incurring transport and other inconveniences to banks to make payment. Go back to e-services. Then we now come to e-filing. On the e-filing, it's giving you the capability to sit at home and submit your return online. You can either go through this site to e-filing, or you log on with any browser to https://efiling.frs.gov.ng. It will bring you to this page. On this page, this is where you will put your username and password. And by the time you click on login, it will take you to the home page of the e-filing. On the home page, what can you do? You can do your taxpayer information update. You can update your email. You can update your consultant's GSM number and what have you on that side. You cannot update name for now. You cannot update address for now. But going forward, we are going to allow that to be done. By the time you log in again, you will see where you'll be able to file declaration through taxpayer service. By the time you get there again, you'll be able to do some validation of TIN, validation of other features, and you can also use Message Center to communicate with the tax office without necessarily going to tax office. What concerns us here is the filing proper. On the e-filing, first thing you do is to click on View All Declarations to be filed. It leads you to a collapsed page where you have all the tax type that you are supposed to file, beginning from company income tax, value-added tax, personal income tax, petroleum profit tax, capital gains tax, proportional levy, down the line. All of them are online now for you to file at your comfort zone. By the time you click any of the tax type, it should lead you to the tax period you want to select. You now look at the tax period that you want to file, you click on it, it will now open up the page. For SMEs, when you open up the page like VAT, what you should note is that there are several lines there, but go to the specific one that relate to you. Most of you will be concerned with the first line, which is for you to state the sales excluding income, excluding tax, and then if there are other exempts you need to enjoy, they are all there, you put them, and then you submit. And if you have any attachment to do, maybe to substantiate any of the claim on returns you are filing, you click on attachment and attach the file. That must be in PDF and submit. So e-filing is as simple as that, and by the time you submit, it's acknowledged in the tax office through the document number you receive, submission number, stating the tax type, the tax period, your TIN, and the tax office. So that is e-filing for you. And on that e-filing, what you can quickly do is to print, click on print, to have your own copy of what you have filed online for file keeping. Or you also click on Pay Now. It will lead you to that payment platform where you can select any of the e-Transact, Pay Direct, NI, BSS, e-Tax Pay, or Remitter to make your payment. That is e-filing. And for you to get into e-filing environment, you must be duly registered. How do you register for that e-filing is the next button. Go back. Go back to e-services. It's not there. Okay. So when you get back to e-services, you will see e-registration. On the e-registration, what is required? Click on it. E-registration. Here, we are telling you that being a taxpayer, you need electronic access to file your return. And currently, this is linked to e-filing. Instead of you to collect the form, fill, and send to tax office, you can just come here. What you do is you put TIN. When you put your TIN and then the email, it will now open up the form for you to fill. On that form, you only require 3 information. 1, whom am I identifying to file on my behalf online? 2, what type of access right do I need to give this person? And then identification of the person. That's all. So by the time you click on continue, after you have put the TIN, and the form comes up, just state the person's name. This man is my auditor, is my consultant, or is my accountant. This man is to be given declaration, that is being able to file online. This man is to be given view only. That is, he should not be able to file anything online, but whatever that has been filed, he should be able to view them and proofread everything. so that if you need to make any correction to the auditor in the next filing, you'll be able to do that. So e-registration is purposely to give you opportunity to do your own access creation right from your own bedroom. And today, maximum of 48 hours, you get a username and password to enable you to file online. It's going gradually to be extended to ETCC, e-receipting, because those ones are standalone now. Go to the next one. Now, under the ETCC, you're having 3 buttons there. The first one there is register to get your tax clearance certificate. When you click on it, before you do that, you must have done 2 things. You must have gone to tax office and update your profile. You must have supplied your email address and the working GSM phone number. Without all those things, you cannot enjoy any of the services that FRS have spent money to provide for you. So by the time you click on register to get TCC, it will ask you to put your TIN. Identify yourself, whether you are a corporate entity or individual. Once you click on individual, it will ask you to put your TIN. When you put your TIN, you now log in. When you log in to register, it will automatically send a link to your email. That link to your email will come with one-time password. All you do is to copy that one-time password and then click on the link to activate your account. By the time the system tells you that you have successfully activated your account, come back to this page and put that thing together with one-time password. You will see a captcha in arithmetic form, 1 + 2 = 3. Put it there and log in. It will tell you have successfully registered, but you need to change your password. You change your password immediately. By the time you have changed your password, go back. By the time you have changed your password, it is then you can now come to application for TCC. Are we okay? When you go to application for TCC, what will happen is the current form you fill manually for tax return certificate will prompt up. You'll be required to state your main business line. Note that we're using ISIC version 4 now. You will see a lot of our business lines there. Select the one that is appropriate to your business. You will state the turnover. You will state if you have any liability to pay that has not been paid and any arrangement to pay it. You will state everything. And at the end of the day, you declare that what you have put there is correct, and then you log in. By the time you log in, you submit. System will tell you that your TCC application has been successfully submitted. All that you need to wait for is correspondences from tax office. And they are under obligation within 14 days to either send you the TCC to your email for you to download, or they should send you letter of rejection and reason for rejection. Are we together? So note that upon successful submission of application, FRS is duty-bound to give you a result, a response. Either you have been successfully issued the TCC or is being rejected. And then what you now do is to follow the content of the rejection letter and make good of any omission, and then you reapply. That is for the ETCC. Now, the same credential you use to enter for ETCC is the same credential you will use to search for your receipt. Gone are the days when you queue for months waiting for your receipt. We have already deployed the e-receipt, and the same credential you use to enter for tax return certificate is the same thing you will use, but in this case, you are not applying for TCC, but rather you are searching for receipt. When you click on search for receipt, it will bring you whether you are searching for bulk receipt or withholding tax. Whichever one of them you select the date range, and then download. Any receipt that belongs to you or credit note that belongs to you, you'll be able to download them by yourself. I know most of you will have confirmed that these things have been done, even though I receive complaints every day that I've not been able to download this receipt, this and that we've been trying our best. I know most of you might have called me on that type of situation, and we're doing our best. What matters most is that you don't go to tax office again to collect your receipt. You sit at home, log on to the site, log on with the ETCC credentials, and then you search your receipt. One thing we need to note is that it is the current manual policy that once you are the beneficiary of withholding tax, you should be the one that will be able to download your credit note from that site. Unlike the former contention that we are the one that remitted this money on behalf of people, we are the one that's supposed to collect on behalf of people. No. The current policy is that the beneficiary of the withholding tax credit note is the one that will log on to that site and download the credit note by themselves. So please, do not trouble your banks or do not trouble your agents. This is the present practice. Your agents cannot go into FRS website and download the credit note that do not belong to them. It's not useful to them. So we should note that. Go back. Beside, I've talked about e-registration, e-filing, e-payment, and then e-receipt. On the e-receipt, I've already described the situation. When you make payment, the first thing you get is acknowledgement in your phone that you have made payment. That one is instant. When that payment is cleared, then you have two alerts. One, FRS has given you one. Your bank will now give you their own debit alert. What you wait for next is within 72 hours, you will get replica of this receipt sent to your email for you to download and print. Where that does not come, you can go to FRS website with your credentials that you use in applying for ETCC and then search for the receipt and print them out. So that is the e-receipt. The next level we are going is automatic crediting of tax account, which will come when we are able to stabilize and resolve all the challenges of the e-receipt we have on ground now. From there, we go to next one, e-stamping. On the e-stamping, just like my colleague just mentioned, is a game of two. The game between FRS and the Corporate Affairs Commission. Those days that you bring your document to FRS, it will be assessed. You will go back to go and pay. You come back to FRS, you'll now be issued with a stamp duty certificate. You take that stamp duty certificate again, go to CAC, and CAC will be waiting to confirm several other things, and this thing takes a lot of days. That particular process has been eliminated. All you do is to log on to the e-stamping site and then do your submission. You will get instant assessment, and then you get a link to pay. And when you pay, the stamp duty comes to FRS, and instantly you generate the e-stamp duty certificate, which flows to CAC, and your registration process is completed. Go back. I'm under time constraint. E-services. Yes. We are now on, I think so far I've talked about the e-tax payment. I've talked about e-filing. I've talked about e-receipt. I've talked about e-stamping. I've talked about e-tax clearance certificate. What next? There are other features like e-verification. On the e-verification, by the time you click on it, you want to verify identity of a particular number you have. Is it TIN number you have? Yes. You put the TIN number and you bring taxpayer detail. Is it RC number you have? Yes. Put the RC number, it will bring the taxpayer's name. Is it phone number you have? Put the phone number there, it will verify the phone number of the taxpayer. So these are the e-solutions that FRS has come up with to ease your compliance. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the FIRS team for that presentation. I'm sure we all know how to go about it, and it's just amazing the amount of effort that has already been put on so that onboarding is easy and even the administration of everything. So do we feel we know more about how to go about the processes for FIRS? Do we think we know more about that now? Let's clap for them again. Okay, so we'll move on quickly to the next presentation. It's from the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC. I'd like to welcome Dr. Monica Emonjeze to give the next presentation. She'll be talking to us about products registration made easy. Please, let's give her a round of applause. Okay, just a quick announcement. If you have any questions so far, please just write your questions on a piece of paper and pass it to the ushers. The ushers will go around and pick your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Let me first of all extend the appreciation of the Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Moji Adeyeye, for the invitation from Covenant Capital to participate at this session. We're very grateful for the invitation, and we thank Pastor Poju and his team for their efforts to support and build business within Nigeria. I'm not here alone. NAFDAC staff in the house, please stand. Stand up. Come up here, come up here. Come up here, the face of NAFDAC. Please join me. Join me, join me, join me. Come on, let's go. NAFDAC in the house. There are more running, I told you. The clock is up. This is the face of NAFDAC. Do they look like you? They look like you. So, if your products don't get registered, blame them. Yes. So just to show you that it's a big team that's here this morning on a Saturday morning. That's how important this is for us. So thank you all very much. I'm speaking alone, but you see I'm covered. Anything I don't know, you can ask them. The table, the desk is manned, and we'll go right into it. So product registration made easy. I hope I get the right one. So, NAFDAC, why do we regulate? These are what we're going to be talking about this morning. How do we regulate? Registration, that's all you want to know about, right? Okay. We'll talk a little bit about quality and the pitfalls of registration. Yes, the landmines and pitfalls. How do you engage NAFDAC? And then we'll very briefly conclude. This week has been a very loaded week for NAFDAC. The last 2 days, we had stakeholder engagements in Lagos. And I take this quotation from something Professor Adeyeye said on Thursday and again yesterday. The stakeholder meeting was tagged "A Date with the Director General, NAFDAC." And I quote her, "We are customer-focused and agency-minded." Right? Customer-focused, agency-minded. Enabling law. I'm not going to reel off. You all know that NAFDAC is there, right? We have legal backing to be there. And the mandate we have is to ensure the quality, efficacy, safety of all NAFDAC-regulated products. In summary, that's just what it is. So when you talk about regulation, many of you only know, I want my NAFDAC registration number, correct? That's all you are concerned with, but it's a whole lot more than that. We talk about registration and licensing. We talk about inspection. There are different types of inspection. We talk about post-marketing surveillance. What happens after you get that NAFDAC number? We talk about testing of the products. We talk about advert control. Very, very critical. Many of you are within the age bracket. I think you are not in my generation. I'm very, very sure of that. Many of you are very social network savvy, very e-enabled, correct? Yes, and very online friendly. So when you get your product registered and you want to advertise it, you need a NAFDAC approval. Oh, yes. So bear that in mind. We conduct workshops, we engage, we create awareness. We control export. So when you want to export that product that you have registered, we have directorates that help you to do that. We have the ports inspection. If you are importing raw materials, you're exporting finished products, you will engage. You have enforcement and investigation. Do you like that? Do you like that? No, yes. How many people like enforcement and investigation? Okay, so let me give you a scenario. You've gone through all the rigors. You've set up your company. You had the lovely presentations. You've complied with your tax provisions. You've registered your product. And then somebody somewhere decides to fake your product and compete with you. Will you like enforcement and investigation then? So be careful what you say. Do you get it? I put narcotic control there just because we are in a very strange time. The abuse of substances and of drugs, misuse and abuse, whether you talk tramadol, talk codeine containing cough syrups. Do we understand? So I just mentioned that there so you have a sense. But let's get back to why you are here. You want your product registered. So I talk about the three-pronged approach, because that's basically what it is. We'll look at your documentation, we'll look at your facility, and we'll look at your product. In summary, that's what we're going to do. So it's a three-pronged approach. This is really, really summarized, because I don't want to stand up here and start reeling off. I'm going to give you an assignment. So when we talk about documentation, we talk about application forms. There is an online form. We even had an online process which we've had to bring down, and we're reworking to come up with the version 2, which will soon be fully deployed. We talk about artworks and labels. And I always smile. In 2012, the only requirement in NAFDAC parlance was labels. What does a label mean? What does a label mean? By the time you have a label, that means you have a product, correct? So we are assuming that you are already in the market. It's an assumption, a very costly one, because many of you are. Correct? Many of you are. So that is why we still capture label/artwork. When you say artwork, means you are in the development phase. You are working with a graphic person, you are putting together, it's on paper. A label is a finish you have printed. Yes? And so there lies one of the biggest problems we have. Oh, I've already printed 100,000 labels. I went to NAFDAC and they said it didn't meet, so I have to destroy all those labels. Sound familiar? Sounds very familiar. So, artworks in the design phase. If you're an SME, you don't have to trademark your product. You can quote me. You do not have to trademark your product, but you are advised to do so. If you trademark your product with the trademark registry, you have brand recognition and protection. You want to enter the market, you can enter, in quote, as a generic. So for example, you have ginger powder. You call it ginger powder, you are fine. If you want to give it a name and brand it, you will have to show evidence of application for trademark. We will not even ask you for the final trademark because we know that's a process. Okay? So that's very simplistically put. Let's talk a little bit about the facility. I talk a lot, I engage a lot with people. What are the facility requirements for NAFDAC regulated products? Somebody answer me. What kind of facility do you need to have? Okay. Okay. Do you need to own the facility? No. Can you use one room? Can you use your house? Yes. Can you use an incubation center? Yes. Can you contract manufacture? Yes. So you already know the answer. So why do we inspect? I told the AD and the DG, you see, we are civil servants, don't mind us, that I'm going to put them on the spot. How many of you do cosmetics? Raise your hand. Cosmetics, or you want to do? How many of you do food? All products, NAFDAC, hair lotion, spices, coconut oil. Pardon? No. I'm just, feel very free. You are doing cosmetics, you are doing juice, you are doing, what's the other one? Shea butter. They are afraid. Or your wife, or you know somebody that wants to do, and you're not too sure. Or you're doing food, you're making chin-chin in your kitchen, or plantain chips, or packaging groundnuts. I'm talking to all of you. Thank you. The conclusion is we inspect to verify compliance, that you actually want exist, and that you conform to minimum requirements for good manufacturing practice or good hygienic practice. We recognize micro, we recognize kitchen, we recognize cottage, and you don't need 5 rooms. Did you hear me? You do not need 5 rooms. That's one of the big myths. So it's up here, feel very free. And then we talk a little bit about the product. Can you test quality into a product? Can you test quality into a product? The answer is no. How do you build a quality product? From your raw material, from where you source your oranges for your orange juice. If you use rotten oranges at the beginning, you come out with orange juice. Will it be good? No matter how many times you test it, it will still not be good. So you cannot test quality into a product. You have to build quality into your product. Am I making sense? So when they say, oh, is it not just Gary? Gary is very simple, isn't it? Yes. It can kill you. But it's just Gary. Oh, we went to register. Just Gary, and NAFDAC is doing shakara to give us NAFDAC number. Gary contains cyanogenic glycosides. If not properly processed, it will kill you. Depending on the type of species of cassava you use and how you process it. Yes? We talk about dairy products. Is it not just milk and yogurt or fish? Those are high-risk products. Even that orange juice I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm talking about? You put that orange juice at the wrong temperature, after 2 or 3 days, can you drink it? So you cannot test quality. You have to build quality into your product. You see, this is a problem that we have. Imbibing a culture of quality. And so when we talk about registration, licensing, inspection, we're trying to help you build quality into that product. Because we will test it. And at that point, if it doesn't meet up, it ain't going, sorry. You go back and start all over again. So whether you're doing it alone, whether you have a few people with you, you have to build a quality management system to protect your product, ensure sustainability, continuity, consistency. And so we talk about standard operating procedures. Oh, I went to NAFDAC and they are saying I must write SOP. What is that? That is what it is. So you are an SME, maybe working alone, maybe you have a few people, but you have a responsibility to make sure you are a subject matter expert in the area that you choose to engage in. It's your responsibility. So you decide you want to do shea butter. So you have to go and understand the product. What is it in that space? How many of you have 2 phones? Raise your hand. 2. High up. 2. 3. 1. All enabled, right? Google whatever. Yes. But we have a problem. Because, I was listening to the 2 presentations and watching the and I was just smiling. I tell some people, even educated people, when you refer them to a website to go and read, they call you back to send them the guideline. You send the guideline, they don't even want to read it. They don't want to read it. So I'm giving you the website, www.nafdac.gov.ng. www.nafdac.gov.ng. It has been updated constantly. It's a work in progress, but there's lots of information there. It's an assignment for you. I told Soji, I'm not going to come here and stand and give a lecture on what's in the guideline. Go and read it. It's true. You need to know. Because this is the beginning of the problem. Many of you don't want to read. You fall into wrong hands, and then you start wondering why. There are regulations up there. If you are doing food products, alcoholic products, any type of product, go and be guided. There are guidelines there for you that will take you through the process. I put a question up there. Which agencies will I engage relative to your business? Covenant Capital have helped you answer some. You can think if there are others. You need to know. In the eyes of the law, ignorance is... I love it when we are doing participatory presentations. So you need to engage. You see, as regulators, we have a function, a statutory responsibility to safeguard public health. That is our responsibility. You have a responsibility as a corporate citizen or a civic responsibility. Sometimes I call it regulatory responsibility to yourself and to Nigeria. To yourself and to Nigeria. So we try to make sure that we guide you in the process. And sometimes we don't make everybody happy. We have no apologies there either. Because you can't be happy all the time, can you? Can't be happy all the time. But in the spirit of the ease of doing business order, is doing at the bullet. Enabling business. That's why you see this, and they continue to work to deliver easy liberty. Because the instead as many. If you have a food-related question, as per inspection, that's the director. Email, registration, email. Sorry, I don't put my phone number up like that. I know my colleague was saying they do phone number. I can't keep up. I cannot keep up. So when somebody calls, like I'm here, somebody will call, oh, this woman doesn't answer her phone. Will I start answering the phone now? It's not possible. Please, so email is preferred. Email is preferred. So a little bit of what NAFDAC has been doing, a lot of administrative reforms, from decentralization, which might not affect you here in Lagos, but for people outside of Lagos, we have decentralized so they can get their registrations done within their zone. We have imbibed QMS. We're not only talking about it for you, but we do that. We're upgrading the laboratories. There are updated regulations on the website. You can check. If you have comments, you can even comment. Inspection and enforcement continues. Alerts and recalls, those also happen in the regulatory space, because if we know, for example, that products in the world are causing problem, you import, we notify you that this is what's going on globally. We have recently been returned to the ports to strengthen our activity. Post-marketing surveillance, please be very, very mindful. It doesn't end when you get registration number. It's a life cycle approach. Soji talked about the life cycle of a business. This is life cycle of your product. So you must maintain that quality throughout the life cycle. So we go out for surveillance. We will go and buy your products in the market. We will test it. And trust me, if it doesn't meet up, we have powers to revoke. So it doesn't just end. You have to be continuous. And we have no problem with engagement of stakeholders. We have the Small Business Support Desk. We have the NAFDAC Product Registration Outreach, and I'm very proud to say the first NAFDAC Product Registration Outreach was in this very hall in Covenant. That was the first engagement of that initiative. Ease of doing business, we are totally in sync. In fact, I tell people that the fear of PEBEC is the beginning of wisdom. Yes, so I have support. You know, and in that spirit, we cleared 6,000 applications. And the interesting thing about that backlog we had, majority of those were MS. You see, when you say MSME, it's a very broad term. Micro, small, medium. If you look at the definition of medium, it's not the same as micro. So I always like to remove the micro and maybe the small. Because when you look at the World Bank and the economic definitions, you see those big boys are there. Yes, when you say MSME, the big boys are there. So I like to, let's do micro. Then I limit, because those have a better understanding of our expectations. Their issues are different. Their issues are different. ICT, we cannot run away. A lot of e-solutions on board. We have the e-registration, the NAPAMS. As I said, we're working on it. There'll be a version 2 shortly, but the application form is available online. We're looking to have, from the beginning to the end, you should be e-enabled, and that will come up shortly. Regulatory reforms ongoing, digitalization ongoing. So in conclusion, you see, Pastor Poju, you have to have respect for that clock that is ticking up there. We try to stay within the clock so we don't land into trouble. So, do you guys have inspiration? That's not loud enough. But I know you are inspired because on a Saturday morning to be here, you are inspired, correct? Are you creative? Are you innovative? Are you entrepreneurs? So we as regulators, let me remind you again, NAFDAC up here, and we close. Come up. NAFDAC, come up. Madam, come up. Stand up now. Clap for them. Clap for them. Come on. NAFDAC, run. We're watching the clock. You see? Come closer now. What, are you afraid? So, let me wait. This is the face. Where's Obina? Obina, where are you? Busy? Obina, run. This one was correcting my presentation at 5 o'clock in the morning, so come up. Yes. So this is the face of regulation. These are the people that will help you to get your aspirations. And these are the tools for success. Thank you. Abi?
All right, thank you very much, Ma. So they're very friendly faces, so let's get our businesses registered. All right, so we'll just quickly move on to the next, which is the interactive Q&A session. So I'd like to call on the facilitator of the Q&A session. That's Mr. Victor Ibekwe, the head of our Covenant Capital Business Advisory Unit. He's the one that will anchor this session. Okay. And on the panel, we would like to invite back Mr. Tolulope Shonaike, the Assistant Director of the Corporate Affairs Commission. We also like to invite Mr. Cyriacus Ekechi, the Director, State Coordinator, Lagos Island, Federal Inland Revenue Services. We also like to call Dr. Monica to come back as well, the Director, Registration and Regulatory Affairs of the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. And we also have the representative from LIRS, Mr. Obatola Olugbenga. Please, can we give them a warm welcome to the stage? So I'll just hand over to Mr. Victor Ibekwe to facilitate the Q&A. So if you have your questions, please just pass your questions to the ushers so that we can begin to share them for answers.
Thank you. Okay, it's still morning. Good morning, everybody. And all protocol observed. Okay, I think... Okay. Okay, I can stay here. All right. So this is the question and answer session. I'm just going to anchor the session. Okay, please, somebody is waving the ushers. We need the questions as quickly as we can. But before we do that, as we all know very well, I mean, taking questions or answering questions is one of the best, way to teach. So we expect that the questions we'll get from the audience will bring out all the silent issues, in respect of all that have been taught here today. It's also an opportunity to everybody, I mean, all the agencies represented, to actually answer the questions that are in people's mind. And, to answer those questions, we will not have accomplished our task. So once again, I welcome you all to the panel. Like I said, I'm just to anchor the questions. So while we're waiting for the questions, wow, I can see a lot of questions here. Okay, that's very good. That means people are interested and they are engaged. So, okay, meanwhile, the timing there, is it our time? Sorry? Yes. So we have up to 48 minutes? Okay, because I can see a lot of questions. So, okay, before we take the questions, I want to give opportunity to LIRS, since they did not do any presentation, to maybe say one or two things, things they would like us to know. Is that okay? Please go on, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
You can sit if you want, please.
Actually, when I was told that I will be making a presentation, I called on the organizers of this program, and I was told that they were expecting only 3 people to make a presentation, that LRS is only going to be here for question and answer session. But be that as it may, I would like to inform you all that we at LRS, we don't do anything other than to collect taxes from
Simple, that's just it, so.
other than to collect taxes from people that are residing in Lagos for the development of our state. I'm sure each and every one of you will have recognized the kind of development that is going on in Lagos State. All is due to the taxes and levies that you people are able to pay. And the earlier you pay your tax, the better for you.
In summary.
Yeah, gentlemen and ladies, in Lagos State, we collect personal income tax. And the taxes we collect in Lagos State are not all that different from those that are collectible in other states of the Federation. Because we are all being moderated by the same Personal Income Tax Act. We actually collect personal income tax, which can be divided into 2 areas, the PAYE and the direct assessment. Those of us that leave our home in the morning and go to work only to come back in the evening, and at the end of the 30th day in the month, we collect our salaries and allowances. What do? Before we even collect, the employers of labor will have deducted something from our salaries and allowances and remit to the relevant tax authority, which is LRS. And for those of us that are on our own, the self-employed, we work for 365 days in the year, and at the end of the year, LRS expects you to file your tax returns before the end of the first 90 days in the year. And on this, you will be now assessed to tax. Actually, we expect you, while filing your tax returns, to do what? To pay your personal income tax through self-assessment. But if we get your tax paid, and we now look at your papers, and we discover that what you have paid is not up to what you are supposed to pay, then we don't do any other thing than to give you an additional assessment. We really know how to do that, and we are good at it. Then those of you that are in business, I'm sure each and every one of you are in business. We expect you to file your returns with your detailed profit and loss account. Once you're able to do this, it's going to lessen the number of times we have to invite you to come and explain one thing or the other to us, for us to be able to determine your actual income. Because your taxes are supposed to be based on your what? On your actual income. But in a situation where we are not able to determine your income, then we don't have any other choice than to invite you. That is the reason why some of you will have letters from us inviting you to the tax service to come and explain yourself, or to come and explain 1 or 2 things before we could be able to determine your actual income on which your tax is going to be what? Going to be paid. Gentlemen and ladies, as I said earlier, what we do in Lagos and know how to do best is to collect tax. So if you have any question as we go on, then I should be able to provide answers to your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello? Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, let me just also say at this point that it's needless to say that the reason why all of us are here, is to actually get to understand certain things. Like somebody came to our table at Covenant Capital, and during the interaction, we made him to understand that really why we try to pay attention to these things is because compliance is a risk. You could be doing business, believing things and going fine, and you're accumulating liabilities. So it is a very big risk in Nigeria. I mean, you just wake up one day, one of these agencies just comes and locks up. So really, really, we need to pay attention, as difficult as that might be. Okay, so the first set of questions, I think I'll combine the two of them, goes to FIRS. Somebody here says, could you please shed light on tax exemption provision for SMEs starting out? That's number one question. The second question, it says, I registered an enterprise company in 2003, but I have not been operating since then and have not paid taxes since then. Do I need to pay taxes on the back years? Thank you.
Hello? Yeah, thank you. Starting with response to the first question that has to do with tax exemption for SMEs. SMEs are not particularly exempted from any tax, but the tax law generally provided for exemptions. Starting with the VAT Act, the first schedule of the VAT Act, there are categories of goods and services that are exempted from VAT, value-added tax. If, as an SME, you are trading in any of those goods, like drugs and pharmaceutical products, they are exempted from payment of value-added tax. Then basic food items. Although we have issues with the definition of basic food items, but the moment basic food is processed, it becomes VATable. But at the point is in a raw form or in an unprocessed form, it's exempted. Then baby products. If as an SME, you are into manufacturing of any baby care products, that product is exempted for payment of VAT. Also for medical practice, that is the service of doctors. As a SME into medical practice, or as a partnership into medical practice, or even in your personal capacity, you are exempted from payment of VAT from medical service. And of course, all export goods or services, they are also exempted from payment of VAT. In addition, Section 23 of Companies Income Tax Act exempts certain categories of businesses from payment of companies income tax, such as charity organizations like churches, NGOs, not-for-profit organizations. Why you are so exempted? If for any reason you venture into a profitable venture, even though you are an NGO or you are into a non-for-profit business, then you eventually venture into a profitable business and there's profit element from that business. That business becomes taxable for purposes of income tax. Then the second question has to do with an enterprise that has registered for some time. Well, yes, like I said earlier on, the Value Added Tax Act talks about you are supposed to register within 6 months from the existence of the Act itself. That is, the Act came into being in 1993. Or within 6 months of commencement of your business, whichever is earlier. In most cases, if you are starting business today, that means you will be operating under a VAT Act that is already in existence as far back as 1993. That means the Act is coming first. That means you become liable for value-added tax. So the moment the business is registered, the next thing is for you to register for tax. And you are lucky the way we have done it now for startup businesses. The moment you register with a Corporate Affairs Commission, automatically a TIN number is generated for you, and without which not even the bank will allow you to open an account. So registration for tax is very important for you to be able to do your business and also enjoy a whole lot of benefits that you should enjoy. And if for any reason you register, then you have to be filing VAT returns on monthly basis. The VAT returns are free of charge. You download it online to file, or you go to any of our tax offices and fill and file the returns. Even if you have not made any sales to warrant payment of VAT, just state 0 there and you file. The VAT form is free. We don't charge for it. Just by submitting it means compliance. You have complied and you have filed. And you must note that the VAT you even pay is not your money. You are only an unpaid agent of FIRS to collect that VAT from whoever is consuming your service or your goods, either by buying the products from you or you rendering service to that person.
Okay, sorry. If I may ask, in this particular case, so what's the advice? Because he's asking, is this supposed to go back now or?
Well, the law Value-Added Tax Act provide for a penalty of 5,000 naira for every month of failure to file returns. But in the spirit of ease of doing business, and also in the spirit of supporting the existence and growth of the SME, when you have a situation like that, we always want you to come out clean to us. If there is sufficient evidence to show that you have registered this business, but you haven't done any business. You have registered the company, you haven't done any business. And don't forget, we have access to every bank account in this country. So if you tell us that you haven't done any business, we'll check you out. Just when we're pressing a button, your bank transactions will come up. If nothing comes up, it means that genuinely you haven't done any business. And sometimes we might even ask for copies of your bank statement. But in most cases, we don't do that because we already have access to everything. If genuinely you haven't done any business, then you file from the moment that you have done business. But communication is very important. Always let us know, because government is a stakeholder in every business. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the next question goes to NAFDAC. I don't want to expatiate on some things he's brought out here, monthly returns and all that, very important. It's part of the compliance risk we talked about. Okay, so the next question goes to NAFDAC, and it says, if I want to import several products in the same category, do I have to register each product, or do I have to have a blanket registration for the category? Example, if I want to import energy drinks, he mentioned some names here, Energy Pro, Energy Alive, Energy Metal, etc. Can I register the energy category or register each product? Thank you.
I have a mic.
Okay.
I have one. Oh, I think it's enabled. Yes, thank you very much for the question. Registration is per product. So it's products, not per category, it's per product. So there could be, if for example, the product is a variant of one, then there is a different tariff for a variant, but it needs to be registered.
Okay, thank you very much. I think even me, I know that much. Okay, thank you. Okay, the next question goes to CAC. How can I go about changing or removing a director in a liability company? Let me add a question to it. Then another one says, if you are not a Nigerian, is there any rule attached if you want to own a business in Nigeria. That's foreigners. Okay, we can take the two.
Thank you. If you want to change a director in your company, the first thing you need to do is for the company to meet and decide that they want to change this director. And when I say the company, I'm not talking about the board of directors. I'm talking about the shareholders. It is the decision of the shareholders to remove directors. Because even where board of directors appoint a director to fill a casual vacancy, that appointment must be ratified at the next general meeting of the company. So you pass a resolution at the general meeting that you want to remove this director. And you give us an extract of that resolution, of that meeting, signed by 2 directors at least, or a director and a secretary of the company, on record with us. And there is a form, because this is a post-registration process. There is a form from CAC 7A that you fill out. That form will also be endorsed by the directors. Then you pay the fee for change of directors is 2,000 naira. And you are supposed to file that resolution within 14 days. If you don't file within 14 days, there will be a penalty of 5,000 naira to the 2,000 naira. Now, whether an alien, a foreigner, can do business in Nigeria, yes. Foreigners can, in fact, fully own businesses in Nigeria. So you can have companies that the directors and the shareholders are just all of them foreigners. The only clause there is if they disclose a Nigerian address, then they must show evidence that they have residency permit. But if the address they disclose are foreign addresses, then no problem.
All right, thank you very much. The next question will go to LIRS. Okay, so it says, kindly help to explain what is consolidated relief allowance. That's number 1. Number 2, is there a contact staff who pay withholding tax? Okay, I think it has to do with maybe printing of withholding tax receipts. I think, yeah, people have issue with that. And then finally, what is the process of getting a tax card? 3 questions in one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Prior to the commencement of the new Tax Act, which is the Personal Income Tax Amendment Act of 2011, the one we were using before is the Personal Income Tax Act of 2004 as amended. In the new act, all the allowances has been consolidated. You know, prior to that, we have housing allowance, transport allowance, we have a utility allowance, children allowance, and all this. But PTAM 2011 consolidated everything. And what we now have is 20% of your gross income. Let us assume that your income in the year is 1 million naira. Then we are now talking of 20% of that 1 million naira. That is 200,000. Plus automatic 200,000 naira, making a total of 400,000. That will be your consolidated reliefs and allowances. This 200,000 naira, which I talked about, has a limitation. You can enjoy more than that 200,000 naira where your income is more than 20 million naira in a year. In that case, we are looking at 1% of your gross income or 200,000 naira, whichever is what is higher. So where your income is more than 20 million naira in a year, definitely you are not going to enjoy that 200,000, but you are going to enjoy 1% of that income, which is more than 20 million. Let us assume that your income is 24 million naira. So what you are going to enjoy as your consolidated relief and allowance is going to be 1% of that 24 million, which is 240,000 instead of 200,000, plus 20% of that 24 million. So these two added together will be your consolidated reliefs and allowances. That is that. For withholding tax. Withholding tax is an advance payment of tax. It is a way of saying that a part of the tax you are going to pay at the end of the year, you see, has been deducted from your income and remitted or sent to the purse of the internal revenue of your what? Of your state. So at the end of the year, you are expected as a beneficiary to enjoy this withholding tax. But it is not automatic. We just have to get the evidence that something was actually deducted from your income and also remitted to the tax service. And the way we can know that this has been done is just for you to present what is known as a certificate of payment, which some people will call the credit note. And how do you get this credit note? It is the company that deducted your tax and remitted to the tax service that made this payment on your behalf that is expected to process this, you see, with the bank where where the payment was made. But the problem we always have is this. These companies, when they are, let us assume that ABC Nigeria Limited wants to pay withholding tax on directors' fees. How much? 1 million naira. And this 1 million naira is supposed to be to the account or to the credit of maybe 4 directors at the rate of 250,000. Director A, Director B, Director C, and Director D. ABC Nigeria Limited, we only take a check of 1 million naira and go to the bank and say, please take, this is 1 million naira for LRS. Credit our account and let them know that we have we paid withholding tax. Without attaching a schedule. Without attaching a schedule, you say that we show this bank that this 1 million naira is for Mr. A, Mr. B, Mr. C. Then the bank will take the 1 million naira from ABC Nigeria Limited, credit the account of LRS, and also inform LRS that, okay, ABC has actually paid withholding tax, but to whose credit? At the end of the day, Mr. A will come to the tax office and say, okay, withholding tax was deducted from my what? From my income, and I want credit for it. Where's the evidence? So where there is no evidence, this will not be given, and it has usually been a problem. What we normally advise is this. Companies that are remitting withholding tax should go to the bank with schedule of what they are remitting so that this bank can also, while crediting the account of the company that actually made this payment, we also credit the account of the individual beneficiaries. And at the end of the day, once this man comes to the tax office and says, okay, I want my tax clearance certificate, we open our ABS, so everything that has been paid in favor of this man will appear, and we will see the 250,000 that has been paid in his favor. It will be very much easier for us to give him a credit for what has been deducted from his income. Then for the issuance of a tax card, this is not a problem. But I don't know why some people always consider this to be a problem. As long as you are ready to do the right thing and the right thing has been done, issuance of tax card by LRS does not take more than 72 hours. It doesn't take more than 72 hours. Now, you can obtain a tax card either as an employee in an organization or as a direct assessment taxpayer. I told you earlier that you pay your tax either as an employee, that is, you are employed in a company, and when you want to obtain a tax card in the name of a company, it is the duty of that company to do what? Because this company has been deducted taxes from your income and remit to what? To LRS. At the end of the year, we expect all these companies to do what? To file tax returns. This must be done before the end of January of every year. And while filing tax returns, what do we expect? We expect the company to have, to give us the list of all the employees in the company, their gross income, and the tax, the value of a tax deducted from this gross income. And if any of these individuals or employees have already been given tax card, let us have their what? Their PID. So if they have not been given a tax card, we have a form, we call it a tax card, tax form. So the man in charge of taxes in this organization must have given this form to each of the individuals for them to complete and affix their passport photographs for us to be able to process card for those that do not have. And for those that already have, all that we need is just their PID. That card that you have with you is going to last you for 10 good years. It's going to last you for 10 good years. So what we need is just your PID. Once we get your PID, any tax that has been deducted from your income and allowances and remitted to the tax service of Lagos State, so will be credited into that tax card of yours once we have your PID. But in the situation where some of these tax officers in organizations don't give all the necessary the necessary information, it will be difficult for us to upload their taxes. Thank you.
Okay, so please let me rephrase that second question. The person actually wanted to know is a contract staff who pay withholding tax entitled to a tax card?
Yeah, that's a good one. When you look at the provisions of the Personal Income Tax Act of 2011, if you're a contract staff, what that provisions is saying, what that tax act is saying is that anybody that has income, either as a salary or as a contractor, either commission or anything, then tax must be deducted from whatever that goes to you in the year and remitted to the tax service. So as a contract staff, you are not exempted from payment of what? From payment of tax. The only thing is this. Depending on the person you are working for. If the person wants to take it as a kind of a withholding tax, income, then we deduct withholding tax on contract from it. But if not, if that method is not used, then whatever that is given to you at the end of the month can be regarded as what? As a salary. And when it is regarded as salary, then PAYE will be computed on it and remitted to the tax service. But whichever way, tax is to be deducted from anybody who calls himself a contract staff and remitted to LRS. We are waiting for it.
So in this case, I assume they took the route of withholding tax.
Sir?
I say in this case, they treated it as withholding tax and deducted withholding. So is the person entitled to a tax card or just the withholding tax receipt?
Sure. If it is treated as a form of a withholding tax, at the end of the year, we'll expect the person to file returns. To file returns by completing our tax form A. Then in that tax form A, we have so many types of incomes there. Income from trade, profession, and so on. Income of employment. In this case now, it's going to be income from a trade or profession, depending on the kind of a job the person is doing. So once this one is completed and we get the form, so we will process the tax card for the person.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, the next set of questions goes to FIRS. And the first question actually comes from somebody who is following the session on Facebook by name Kemi Ibukunle. And the question is, for a microfinance business, how do we ascertain the amount to be paid as VAT? For a micro business, not a microfinance business. How do we ascertain the amount to be paid as VAT? Do we remit monthly or annually? And then the second question, I think the answer is obvious, but I will keep my opinion to myself. It says, as an online business, is there a need for my company to pay tax? As an online business, is there a need for my company to pay tax?
Okay, thank you. Responding to the first question that has to do with services of microfinance banks.
Micro business.
Micro enterprise. Okay, micro business. Okay. For a micro business, like any other business, your transactions are subject to VAT. If you are rendering service or you are trading in goods, and the applicable rate is 5%, and the due date of remittance is not later than 21st of the following month after the month of transaction. The second question has to do with online business. Every income is subject to tax, except the income is so exempted from tax by the tax law. The issue now is the source, how to identify the income or profit made by any person that is conducting online business. You are expected to register for tax, irrespective of your business, whether online or not. And having registered, you are also obliged by law to file returns. If you don't file, we have a way of getting you to file, and we expect you to file. That is the law. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. The last set of questions, because of our time.
You said one more.
One more. Okay. All right. Okay. We just have one last question to go, and that will go to CAC. Okay. And the question is very straightforward. It says, can I register 2 business names at the same time with the same details?
Well, when you say the same details, I take that to include the name. Right? If you're saying Mr. Biggs,
Yes.
then Mr. Biggs again. No.
Okay, it says 2 business names at the same
I mean,
time.
with the same details. When you say same details, if it's to register 2 different names with the same particulars,
Details.
that is doable.
Okay.
Yes. But if it's the same business name twice, that is not doable.
All right. Thank you very much. Please, can we read a round of applause to our... I'm sure the head of department will do the honor of vote of thanks and all that. We appreciate you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Don't worry, there's going to be enough time to ask. For those of you that passed your questions and we couldn't get through to them, you have the chance. All their stands are here, and we have our tax experts as well, so you'll be able to ask your questions.
Okay, so very quickly, before we go into the one-on-one sessions, please, if you just a few more minutes, and then you'll be able to go. Before we go into the one-on-one sessions, as Bode has just said, in fact, I was told, I didn't know, we have 40 staff from FIRS here for you. Yes. So all those questions that you wrote, we told you to write them. You know, when you write, then you remember it. So go and attack the 40 people and ask them your questions. NAFDAC, you saw the face of NAFDAC here. LIRS is here also. We have our own free advisory, Covenant Capital Advisory, and we have CAC for online registration. So that's the next session we're going into, and we've dedicated 2 hours to that. So between this time and 2 p.m., you can face that section. Now, just to let you know that we have to do it in an orderly fashion. So we have tally numbers for you. So as you go there, please take a tally number. So the agency, so decide which agency you are going to first. When you get there, take the tally number. They will answer you based on your tally. When you finish that one, then you can go to the next one, take another tally number. If you take one and you move to the other one, you forfeit the first one. It's compliance. You know, so let's learn it from here. Learn it for your business. So take one tally, finish that one, then go to the next one, so that it can be in a very orderly fashion. As you've seen, we've dedicated that section to you. But what we want to do now is really appreciate the agencies that have, you know, worked with us over the past. This is 2018. Our first seminar with an agency was actually with NAFDAC in 2015. So if I'm correct, yes. So in 2015, we had this kind of what you can call a compliance seminar, and we had it with NAFDAC, and they came, we had a NAFDAC bazaar outside, and people were, you know, finding about registration and all of that. In 2016, we worked with a professional service firm. I believe it was Akintola Williams, Deloitte. We've also worked with KPMG. But apart from that, we've been having tax seminars annually. So the FIRS and the LIRS have always, you know, been collaborating with us. This is If you like, this is our first collaboration with the CAC, but we're very happy, for the turnout. And we would just like to take this moment to appreciate each of the 4 agencies here with a memorable commemoration plaque. If that will just come up now. A round of applause as we do that. Okay, so very quickly, I think the first goes to, okay, it's in alphabetical order. So the first one goes to the CAC. This award is presented to the Corporate Affairs Commission. Okay.
Sorry, can I get someone to take this here, please?
Yes. No, you have someone taking it, actually.
Are you going to share?
Yes,
okay.
We will. But if you want to, okay, it's much easier, yeah. So that way you have it on WhatsApp very quickly. Okay. Okay, so this award is presented to the Corporate Affairs Commission in recognition and appreciation of your dedicated partnership with Covenant Capital in helping small and medium-scale businesses. This is from Covenant Capital, powered by Covenant Christian Center. So on behalf of the senior pastor, Pastor Pojoemade, we'd like to thank you for your collaboration with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The next one goes to the Federal Inland Revenue Service, also in recognition and appreciation of your dedicated partnership with Covenant Capital in helping small and medium-scale businesses. This is from Covenant Capital, powered by Covenant Christian Center. On behalf of the senior pastor, Pastor Pojoemade, we'd like to thank you for your collaboration.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one, well, as they've told you, their primary assignment is to collect money for Lagos State. So, in recognition and appreciation of how you collect money for dedicated partnership with Covenant Capital in helping small businesses, on behalf of the senior pastor, Pastor Pojoemade, they would like to thank you very much. And last but not the least, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, would like to thank you in recognition and appreciation of your dedicated partnership with Covenant Capital in helping small and medium-scale businesses. On behalf of the senior pastor, Pastor Pojoemade, they would like to thank you. Thank you very much. So we've come to the end of this session. I can see people migrating already. So we've come to the end of this session. We'd like to thank you for your time. The next session is the one-on-one engagements with the 4 agencies here, and we also have Covenant Capital Advisory, and we also have tax consultants. Oh, yes. Well, okay, focus. Can we still take one more picture? All right. So we have tax consultants on my left-hand side of the hall. That's from the professional services. But we have FIRS, LIRS, NAFDAC, and CAC on the right-hand side of the hall. We also have free advisory from Covenant Capital, also on the right-hand side of the hall. Please pick a tally number, and you'll have some time with them.